Thanks for being here tonight. This event, formerly called the State of the School, now called Inside Life at NSCD, is really our reimagination, right? Held jointly between the North Shore Country Day Administration and the Parents Association for our fall meeting. Just by way of introduction, I'm Gray Hulick. I serve as the Parent Association President this year, and really pleased to be here in this beautiful MAC gym for the second year. And I'm actually really excited we moved things up here, because what better view could you have than looking at this glistening floor and now abuzz with activity. So tonight, we're really going to have an opportunity for all of the North Shore Country Day families here to really better understand the work that your student is currently doing, but maybe also have some glimpses right into what the future might hold for your child as they advance through the grades and also in the years to come at this great school. My job tonight is really two things: to give you a glimpse into what tonight holds for you, but also a bit of a preview into some of the upcoming activities that we have going on with the PA before I introduce Tom. So about the structure tonight, the night will include a presentation directly following mine by our head of school, Tom Flemma. We'll have keynote remarks from each division and a science fair style gathering offering opportunities to talk both to teachers and students about their work. Now, importantly, and I was selling this hard when you all came in and got your name tags, there will be prizes, okay? So hopefully you picked up a map, and there will be stickers that you can gather at each of the tables to put on your map. And for those who collect 5 or more, you will be able to select one of many exciting prizes. Spoiler alert, I have an amazing coffee table book in my house because I went to all my tables last year. So get excited. All right. So again, before I turn it over to Tom, I'm definitely going to highlight a couple of things that are coming up, some exciting PA events in the next month or so. I know this is not everything, but certainly trying to highlight just a couple. Firstly, if you look outside, it feels like winter. And certainly we are entering the season of giving. So you will shortly receive an email about the Faculty and Staff Appreciation Gift Fund. This will be our 12th year collecting money that will be evenly distributed among all of our faculty and staff at the end of the school year. So I definitely encourage you to participate, and if you have questions, to reach out to me or Leah Gordon, who is our PA Vice President. We will also have several parent engagement events coming up. There is an exciting Spinergy exercise class in the event space of Town and Oak. Anyone who has been reading their news has seen Kim Frazados with several sweatbands poised on a cycle, and I just think it's going to be awesome. So please, that's on November 17th, coming right up. There's a few spots left, so if you hurry, it could be yours. We also have planned the Global Community Connections and Parent Engagement Holiday Cookie Exchange. What could be better than having 4 dozen cookies that all come from different places, and your family will think you are a sheer rock star. You do not need to be a baker. You could do store-bought cookies. Like me, I'm a big fan of buying dough and making it look like I made it myself. We are also, from a parent engagement perspective, going to be hosting a new event this year. It's called Festive Florals and Seasonal Scents. That's December 16th here on campus, and that involves flower arranging and also making a sachet. And then lastly, another thing I wanted to highlight from the PA end is that the Global Community Connections Group also is hosting its 4th annual Heritage Celebration Potluck. This is just a really cool event, including entertainment, and that will be January 25th here in the MAC Gym. I also want to highlight 2 non-PA events. Very important. Number 1, the Board of Trustees is hosting a Strategic Plan Community Design Day. I know you've heard a little bit about this. This is January 10th. And I'm just going to spend a minute because this one's super important. It's a full day session that's open to parents, students, 8th grade and above, faculty, staff, and alumni. The strategic planning design team will share what has been learned so far and explore potential ideas with the community. It's a hands-on working day, so expect to roll up your sleeves. Your voice is important. If that's nothing that you have learned through being part of this community, your voice matters. So please come and plan to attend and stop by the strategic plan table later this evening to meet members of the design team and to learn more. And lastly, the Benefit for Scholarships 2026. It's Friday, February 20th. This is our big fundraiser event for the year. It's at Michigan Shores Club in Wilmette. Dinner, drinks, live auction, and a paddle raise. What more could you want? And with that, speed round of everything happening within the PA, also with some key partner groups, and also an explanation of what to expect this evening, I would love to take the moment to hand it over to Tom to officially kick us off.
Gray, did you just take my notes with you? Thank you. Appreciate that. Yeah, it was going to be a lot less focused there for a second. First of all, thank you to Gray and Leah for running the Parents Association with the help of so many people in this room, and to everyone who put this event together, and to our speaker volunteers, everybody down here. Welcome to Inside Life at NSCD. Gray told you a little bit about how we got here. This is an evolution of what used to be really just a speech, facts and figures, some data, and a look ahead. We're trying to spice it up a little bit and practice what we preach by giving you the opportunity to see the school a little bit through your child's eyes, to get down there, to use your hands, to do a little experiential learning, which is, after all, what we do. So my job is to give a little bit of a frame for the night, and then we'll hear from some speakers representing the 3 divisions of the school, and then we release you down to the gym floor. So that's why we're here. And another reason that we're here is, you know, especially when I listen to that list of activities that the PA has coming up for us in the next couple of weeks, we're here because it's important for us to be together in community. And the more chances that we have to do that, the more that we as a school can help facilitate that for all of you, for the parent body, like we do every day for the students, I think we are better off as a school, and we're better off as a community as well. So this is such a wonderful chance for us to get together. I want to start zooming out a little bit. We're going to get, each step of the night is going to get a little bit more granular. So as you all know, there is a great debate that's happening out there right now about the value of education, about the definition of education. What are the goals of education from kindergarten all the way through college and university and beyond? And while it feels like it might be new to us, this is not a new debate. This is a timeless debate. And every generation has this debate. And I think there are really 2 key factors in each generation that shape what that debate looks like for them. It is how new technologies may or may not change the way that we teach. And in each generation, those new technologies also help us shape and think about what we value in terms of knowledge. What are the things that we need to know? So I'm not that old, but in my teaching career, thank you for the laugh, I appreciate that. In my teaching career, when I started, the math teachers were up in arms on the barricades at the idea that graphing calculators would be allowed in class. I remember faculty meetings about that topic, and it was brutal, and it was ugly. And when I started teaching, there was a ban on using whatever the internet was for history research papers. You just weren't allowed to use the internet, even though it existed. And this is in my teaching career, not even just in my lifetime. So given that context, I'm gonna Actually, since it's a deeper room, I'm going to read this quote and ask you perhaps to reflect on it if you can't see it. Today, we, as parents and teachers, and even more as students, are facing even more difficult and confusing crises. It is very hard indeed to be sure or clear-cut in our thinking or in our analysis of what it is that we are facing. All we can be sure of is that we are living in the midst of tremendous forces, which seem to be working profound and far-reaching changes. We know we must prepare our youngsters to face squarely whatever situations arise, learn to recognize the essential elements in each problem, and act wisely in working out a solution. This calls for a far different type of training and teaching than that to which we were exposed in our student days. Rules of thumb or mere techniques will not suffice. Our children will have to be able to do far more than to memorize the answers, for no one knows the answers to the type of problem they will be required to face. Modern life calls for a different type of schooling. So I'm just curious, does that resonate with anybody? Do you feel like that is relevant to you, to our world, to your kids? Maybe. Traditionally, we have a show of hands if we ask a question like that. So, okay. So a few people. It certainly resonates with me, and it's something that I think about all the time. And it is so relevant as we are asking questions. And I know as you are asking questions as parents. Do kids have an attention span anymore? And what is it? Is college worth the money? Are kids going to need to go to college in 20 years, in 10 years, in 5 years? Can AI really do everything that they say it can? And should we be worried about that? Okay. So, and yes, maybe the answer is yes. So here's the quote. And here's why I think this is kind of really interesting to me. Is that quote was from 1949. And that's the founder of our school. That's Perry Dunlap Smith, who founded North Shore in 1919. He had already been the head for about 30 years when he wrote this to the parents shortly after World War II. I think it encapsulates why we were founded in 1919 as a superior alternative to the Winnetka public school system, and it explains why we are still thriving today. It's because each generation has to answer those core fundamental questions. What do kids need to learn? What do they need to be able to do? What do they need to understand in order to make the world a better place? So it's in our school DNA to ask these questions. Each generation, for over 100 years, even as society and technology have changed in absolutely breathtaking ways, we have always believed at North Shore Country Day that students will need a basic toolkit of knowledge and skills that are universally applicable and endlessly adaptable to changing circumstances. So today, this is how we talk about those skills. This is what we think about as the core skills. And adaptation is sort of written into every one of these, right? Because that is the answer to the quote, to the questions that Perry Dunlap Smith was asking, right? But we track these skills. We have a curriculum map for content and stuff and knowledge and facts. And we have a curriculum map for these that continues to evolve because we know that if the kids leave here with these skills, they are going to be able to contribute to solving the problems that the world is going to face, right? They're not going to be frozen because they only learned a formula. They're going to know how to think and how to act. So how do we put this into practice? Well, there's a couple of ways, and I'm not going to go into all of this very deeply. I think it's a combination for me of excellence and opportunity. So as we do that, we provide the kids with the values, skills, the confidence, and the leadership opportunities to help them thrive in complexity. If they can thrive in complexity, they can help solve things. They can help improve. And that's what we mean here when we talk about live and serve. which is our school motto. And it's the motto that the kids chose in the 1920s for our school. And it's still at the heart of our skills graph and our mission statement, as you see in the mission statement here. So, for instance, as you go through tonight and you talk to your kids, you'll see that a lot of our teaching fosters collaborative-based learning, right? That helps kids in so many ways. It helps them navigate ambiguity. It helps them to problem solve. It helps them to iterate. It helps them to grow, right? All of those activities in the classroom, outside the classroom, team sports, performances, all the different ways that kids have to work together, they are learning the critical importance of listening to each other, learning from each other, and working alongside, collaborating with people who bring a wide range of diverse skills and perspectives. So doing all of those things in a school setting can be really important, right? Because all of those things entail risk. And risk is not a dirty word. Risk is not a bad thing if you're thinking about risk in the right way, right? If you take a risk in a controlled environment, like a place like this, you're going to grow. And you're not going to fall very far because there's a group of people, your friends, your teachers, who are there to make sure that you bounce right back up. And then risk doesn't seem so scary. And that is where the real tremendous growth that you see happens. But that only happens in a place like this, where you can create a place of safety, of personal safety, of intellectual safety, where you are free to take a risk. And standing on a stage and speaking at Morning X is a risk, right? I don't know how many of you all would love to stand up in front of 500 kids and speak at Morning X. And some of these kids do it when they are 5, right? And somehow that has been created in a way that they just do it and they get used to it. And then it's not so scary anymore. And then they move on to a different risk, developmentally, appropriately staged along the way. So those are the kinds of things that I want you to take a look for tonight when you're out talking to the kids. So we've already got the middle school student council down there has been ruling that room for the last 45 minutes. I was down there, and I urge you to stop by and talk to those kids because they have got it going on right now. And they will tell you exactly how they are running the middle school, and the teachers are just there for window dressing. But the point I want to finish up with, and then we'll hear some examples of all of these, because you'll hear from all of our presenters tonight different areas of collaboration. You'll hear Samuel and Callie talk about their collaboration and talk about risk and talk about growth and all those wonderful things. None of it happens by accident. And so you might not know, you heard Gray talk about this. North Shore has a really long and powerful tradition of strategic planning. And it stretches back for decades. So this is another arena. This is another place where we try to ask big questions, right? But still key questions. What do kids need to know now? What do they need to know in the future? What do we think they'll need to know so they can thrive going forward? We are really excited to be in a strategic planning process this year. And so you've only heard about 20 times already about the Community Design Day happening January 10th, Saturday. Put it in your calendars. We really do hope that you get involved in that. If you want to learn a little bit more, there is a table that is being, it's not being manned, it's being led by Jessica Shin, our Vice President of the Board of Trustees, and by Kristen Kaczynski, who's our Director of External Relations and Strategic Initiatives. Come and ask them about what Design Day looks like and how you can contribute and lend your voice to strategic planning, because that's where we take the real institutional steps, leaps, is when we are thinking down the road. We got to take care of the nuts and bolts. We got to make sure that everything is happening day to day. But the board's job and my job is to be thinking about the next and the next and the next. And if we do that, just because, why not? When things go well, good things can happen. We're not a really loud school in a lot of ways. When I got here in 2016, people said, we're the best kept secret on the North Shore. I'm like, that's terrible. Why would you want to keep this place a secret? I'm from the Midwest. I grew up in Milwaukee. I understand what it means to be humble. But you know what? Enough of that, because there is so much that we are proud of. Thank you. The reason that we're here is we want you to be able to do the same thing, to look ahead, to see the things that your kids are going to be excited about, that you're going to be so proud of them when they do it, when they get to middle school, when they get to upper school. When you hear that a pretty well-known site like Niche has said you're the second best JK-12 school in the state of Illinois, you should be able to say, that's good. We are. Maybe we're one lower than we should be on that ranking, but and when they say you're the number 3 best high school and climbing each year in the state of Illinois, you should be able to stand up and say that with some pride, because there's a lot of hard work that went into that number, as totally unscientific as that might be. There's still a lot of hard work that went into that. So we're going to move on now. But I'm hoping that gives you a little bit of sense of the way that the board and I think about our work. And then the proof points are what you're going to hear from Dr. Collins, from Samuel and Callie, and from Mr. Bernal. So thank you for being here tonight. I'll look forward to mingling down on the floor with you. Annie Collins.
And thank you, Tom. That made me proud and a little bit less nervous. My audience looks a lot different than this typically. That's right. Speaking of risks, when I interviewed here about 15 years ago, I had the chance to do a demonstration lesson. So the first time I parked in that circle lot, I lugged in a giant bin filled with copper wire, batteries, sandpaper, paper plates, an old retro stereo CD player, set of cheap headphones, a collection of magnets, some tuning forks. It's kind of how I came in this morning, pretty much. First, I had kids building electromagnets. Then they took apart headphones. They discovered the electromagnet and the magnet working in tandem that makes even the tiniest speaker create vibrations and sound. The big aha was listening to audio through their own homemade speaker. 2 weeks ago, I was just as excited to start this unit with fifth graders as I've been the last 14 times. It gets at the heart of what led me to this work, my aha. The day my grad school professor broke up a brutal lecture about Maxwell's equations, he snatched an empty potato chip bag from my peer's desk, attached a neodymium magnet and a copper coil to it, and plugged the sanded wires into the back of a stereo. And yes, I tried to teach Intro to Electricity and Magnetism and the Physics of Sound in 40 minutes to a group of 9-year-olds I'd never met. I wanted to work here so bad back then, and I still do today. And here's why. I came to NSCD as a specialist in this one field of science, physics. And I really just knew a lot about a tiny subfield of that science. I had so much to learn. And your children have made me probably one of the smartest, most resourceful people I know. Because they challenge me to do better, to get better, and to give more. Especially to all my plants in the Science Center. You laugh, but they're thriving thanks to the black gold, the worm poop, that students and I harvest from our vermicompost systems. I do not take for granted a childhood in rural New Hampshire. So when it comes to the environment, I came to NSCD a noticer, a problem seer. There's a lot of worthy buzz about cultivating problem solvers in the field of education. But at North Shore, we take time to engage kids in social emotional learning. We create opportunities to build empathy and connection to self, to others. We live and we serve. As a school, we cultivate problem seers who can initiate real change and do real good. And in 2014 or so, A fifth grade class and I noticed and worried about the quantity of food waste in the cafeteria. They wanted to do something about it. First, we had to understand it. We stood by trash cans during all 3 lunches for a week and directed students and staff to place all the food waste into a special bin. We dumped the daily haul onto a tarp in my old classroom floor. We named it, we talked about it, we measured it. We made some small changes, and we're continuing the conversations in my classes. Today, we're still figuring out the food waste dilemma as a school and as a world. But in lower school science, red wiggler worms are still our favorite and most trusted partner in environmental justice. And a little plug for our JK to 12 Frankie Fun theme this year, The Joy of Reading. This picture book about a courageous dung beetle is perfect. I have it downstairs if anyone wants to take a peek. I've always been someone who's in awe of all things that fly. I appreciate the beauty in the mathematical principles developed by scientists who looked at nature for inspiration and clarity. I love inspiring kids about the physics of flight, too. And I'm sorry, but not sorry about all the paper airplanes that come home in all the backpacks all the time. My dad is a bird watcher. Hummingbirds and loons, his front yard companions. Here I get to honor him and turn kids into citizen scientists. Project Feeder Watch is managed by ornithologists at Cornell University and offers thousands of people the chance to turn observations of birds and other mammals into data scientists can use to understand winter feeding habits. Project Feeder Watch is such an important program because to be a part of is powerful when it comes to climate action. For the youngest scientists to know they're contributing real data to practicing scientists who will use it to further understand the living things with which we share this planet, it's everything. My job is full of joy. 6 years ago, a second grader's dad sent me an email about the most ridiculous and ridiculously awesome online contest. #PeepsYourScience. Reimaginings of iconic scenes in STEM with the added challenge of marshmallow-based innovation. The national contest no longer exists, probably because NSCD was dominating in all categories. But each year, nonetheless, students are so eager to bring to light more diverse stories of changemakers in STEM with peeps. I think it's about the peeps, but your kids like me are quirky, curious, creative, and kind. I am so lucky that I get to show up to work every day expecting yet not knowing what little adventures we'll have together. And 2 of these kids are my kids. I get an inside look at NSCD every single day. Every single day, I am in awe of my teacher colleagues, their passion, their creativity, and care for my children and for yours. I know you'll leave tonight grateful for this special place. Thank you.
Hello, I'm Jared Bernal. I'm the middle and upper school librarian, and I'm here tonight to talk to you about Middle School Community Engagement Week. So Middle School Community Engagement Week is something that happens during the spring, and it's basically a week-long seminar where students are given a menu of different topics that they can study about, and they learn about that the week prior, and then they vote for which one that they would like to participate in, and then there's a committee of teachers and admin that I'm grateful I don't have to be a part of, but they assign students into the different groups based on their rankings. But they basically spend 1 week learning about that topic and engaging with that topic through site visits and interviews with specialists and guest speakers and doing service to engage with the issue that they're learning about. Well, I recognize that's really small. I didn't plan to read this off. I was hoping I would talk and you would read, but that's pretty far, pretty tiny for you to read. I'll just kind of summarize what's up there, though, because I don't want to read verbatim. Basically, students will be learning about different issues that are facing their community. So for just an example off the top of my head, some of the ones we did last year were the There was music and arts access. There was Our Food, Our Community. There was, I'm blanking all of a sudden. There was sports and mental health, and there was the environment. So they learn about these issues and how these issues are affecting both their local community and perhaps a global community. And then they learn about how people are already engaging in the work to address these issues. I'll skip to the next slide because you can probably actually read what's on that slide. And these are 4 components that should be involved in every Community and Engagement Week group. And those are community learning, equity and justice, service learning, and community service. And the idea is that we want to learn about what's happening, learn about injustice and inequity that's happening around us. And we do want to engage and participate in service. But we don't want to approach it like we have all the answers and we're coming here to deliver people out of this problem that's affecting them. We want to learn about how it's already being addressed and what steps are people taking and how can we come alongside and educate ourselves in the process and participate in that work with them and support them in what they're doing. So the community group, Community Engagement Week session that I worked on last year was with myself, Mr. Dye, and Mrs. Jeske. And ours was called Community Storytelling. So we learned about community storytelling and how storytelling can be used as a tool for advocacy, how it can lift people up, how it can raise awareness of important issues that are happening. Some of the guest speakers that we had, one was Joe Coughlin, who's the editor-in-chief of the Record North Shore, which is a local newspaper. He came and talked to us about how he does journalism, what are some of the rules for journalism, what are the ethics involved when you're telling a story to make sure you're getting your facts right and you're telling people's stories accurately and honestly. We met with Miss Joanne Avery, who is a director of youth development at Family Focus. And she talked about storytelling as a means of uplifting her community and how the community that she works with, how they have these negative kind of narratives around them and about their potential outcomes that they're facing. And they change the narrative on a person-by-person basis so that at-risk youth can really start to envision a different type of future for themselves. And so for her perspective that she brought was how can storytelling be used to change the narrative and change the possibilities that you can have in your future. And she also talked about using storytelling as advocacy for raising awareness for the work that she was doing and raising funds and gathering volunteers and things like that. And then our last special guest speaker was Mr. Jonathan Gibby, who's actually the digital content manager here at NSCDS. And he talked about kind of the technical side of how do you conduct an interview, how do you use microphones and cameras, and how do you do lighting, and all those kind of like technical skills that we would use later on in the week. The cool thing about all of these guest speakers is that we arranged them as the teacher, but the students would spend time in the morning kind of coming up with the questions. What do we want to get out of this meeting with this specialist? What can they teach us? What questions can we ask? And so the speaker would come in and they would deliver some content they had pre-prepared, but then it would basically turn into an interview where the students are asking questions and pulling out more knowledge and information from those speakers. The other component is the site visits. So for our site visit, we went to the Citadel at St. Benedict, which is assisted living facility. And our students met with older residents that lived there who were there living with full-time care. The reason why we kind of started this, this year was the first year we ran this particular group. It was actually Miss Jeske's idea because through caring for her mom who was in an assisted living facility, she learned and was made aware of how a lot of these older residents would have all these amazing life stories and all this history, but they spend so many of their days in this assisted living facility with no one to talk to. Their families are busy or they don't live nearby, or maybe they don't even have a family. And she just recognized there's so many stories to be told that will be lost forever if they don't get told. So we went there early on in the week and just met residents and conversed with them and played board games with them. And we visited several times. And then on the last visit, we asked them if we could conduct an interview where they would tell us about their life. And the students, of course, had questions that they planned. And then ultimately, they took that interview and they turned it into a storytelling artifact. So some of those were like podcasts they created, kind of like an NPR StoryCorps kind of interview. Some of them did videos. Others wrote like newspaper articles. There was some poems that were written. Different ways of expressing these people's lives through different forms of storytelling. Our group, usually most groups will have multiple different site visits throughout the course of the week. And ours, we really just focus on this one site because we wanted it to be authentic, that we were getting to know these people, that we weren't just dropping in to take a story from them and then heading out to do something else. We really wanted to give them as much time to form a relationship during that week. Most of the other groups will have had multiple different visits to different locations where they learn different things and engage with different parts of the topic. But just due to the nature of our topic, we thought it was best to really invest heavily in getting to know the residents there. So that's what Community Engagement Week is about. And if you want to learn more about Community Engagement Week or about the Community Storytellers project in particular, we've got a table down there. Miss Jessica and I will be at it. We would love to chat with you and tell you more about it.
Hi, everyone. My name is Callie Zhao.
I'm Samuel Rappaport.
Samuel and I are part of a lot of the same activities. I am one of the co-student body presidents of North Shore. I'm also the president of Model UN, and I'm a leader of Tomatoes, the volunteer tutoring program here at North Shore, Investment Club, Asian Affinity, and I'm also a tennis captain.
And with Callie, I'm one of the student body co-presidents. I'm the head of the Model UN Crisis Division. I'm a leader for the Jewish Student Affinity Group, and I am an editor for our school newspaper, which is the Diller Street Journal.
So one of the biggest things that's been taking up our time this year is our independent study with a focus on the rise of Latin American culture in the United States.
So something that's really cool about our independent study is that we make our own curriculum entirely. We've been working with a faculty member, Dr. Rincon Bisbee, and with her we meet once a week. So that means that every other time when we're not meeting, we have ample opportunities to go outside of the classroom and explore and learn in ways that a traditional school just cannot.
Right now, we are covering immigration, but we plan on covering a lot of other topics, including food, movies, language, and just so many more. And then we post updates on our Instagram account, video updates each week about what we're doing. There should be like a couple examples up there. We also had to make accounts last year in AP Spanish, but yeah, each week we post these updates that a lot of people from this school follow. And yeah, we just posted a series of interviews with immigrants, Spanish-speaking immigrants. Oh, and we've also done a lot of other fun things like hot takes around the school with students and faculty.
Yeah, and obviously none of this would be possible without the World Languages Department and their project-based approach. With them, we were able to develop the skills necessary, whether that be public speaking or just connecting with others to help prepare us for the study that we're doing today.
So Samuel and I both had very different trajectories to get to where we are right now. For me, I started in Spanish 2 as a new 9th grader at North Shore. I wanted a little more challenge, so I took Spanish 3 over the summer, and then I was able to take Spanish 4 as a sophomore. From there, I was able to skip Spanish 5 and take AP Spanish as a junior. And then now, post-AP, we're both doing this independent study. But I just want to mention that none of this would have been possible without the amazing World Languages Department here at North Shore. They guided me through every step. They're the ones who set me up with the tutors to help me skip all of these levels. And they also consistently checked in to make sure that I was doing okay with the level and I was able to hold up with these consistently new environments that I was thrown into.
Yeah, and then my trajectory is a little different. I started at North Shore in 8th grade. Before I'd started here, I hadn't taken any classes of Spanish, but I was able, through faculty support, to catch up to students who had been taking Spanish for longer, and I ended up in that AP Spanish class with Callie last year. And then actually over the last summer, Dr. Rincon Bisbee connected me with an immersion program, and I was able to stay 5 weeks with the host family in Madrid.
So what was really nice about our AP Spanish class last year was that it was only 4 students. It was me and Samuel, as well as 2 other students who have now graduated. This was truly a college level class for us because not only were we more than prepared for the exam, but we were able to direct the conversations and the topics to way beyond what College Board had offered. And then we ended up all getting 5s by the end of the year on the exam.
Yeah. So since Callie and I are the only seniors AP, the way that made the most sense for us to continue our learning with Spanish was the independent study. And we just want to say we're very appreciative for all the help we've received from the World Languages faculty to guide us along the process.
Yeah, and just to add on to that, I seriously came into high school thinking that I would just take Spanish as sort of a requirement and then I would graduate high school and never speak it again. But now I'm like very sure that I'm going to be pursuing a minor in Spanish or doing a dual degree program with Spanish in college. And none of that would have been possible without taking these amazing classes at North Shore that really furthered me to want to strive to further my fluency in this language.
Yeah, and for me personally as well, I think I'm interested in business going forward in my life. And obviously, knowing another language, knowing Spanish could be extremely valuable in that. So, just thanks to the World Languages Department. Thank you.
Thank you.
Very nice job, you two. Thank you, everybody. So this, you should all have a hard copy of this. If you want, on your way back out, there are more down at the end of the hallway here. But you'll want this. This is the map of what the gym floor looks like. And so you might have questions that have come out of what you've heard tonight. You might have questions that you came in with tonight. You know, I'm wondering, you know, I have a child in the lower school. What languages could my child study in the middle school? Or what does it look like to do advanced math in the upper school? Well, we have people for you. So we've got representatives from all of the schools, divisions, all the different departments, and for activities, for performing arts, for athletics, for clubs, and all the different things you can find on this map, things that you're looking for. And don't forget that if you do visit 5 tables and you get your stickers, as Gray said earlier, there is highly coveted North Shore Country Day swag that is available to you. So first, I just want to say, well, not first, last. I want to say thank you for coming tonight. Thank you for engaging in what we're sharing. Really, thank you for trusting us with your children. That's the most important part. And hopefully you have a little bit better sense of how all of the pieces fit together by the time you leave tonight. So now we can move down to the gym floor, and there'll be all kinds of other folks and administrators who can answer questions for you along the way. Have a great time.